Welcome back, gang, to the Priority Learning Culture Coaching Podcast. I'm Mike McKean, here with Ralph Twombly. How are we doing today, Ralph?
Good, Michael. Good to see you as always.
And you can see us now, too. Yeah, that's one of the new things going on this season.
Hopefully we won't scare them away.
No, we're not going to scare anybody away. I'm pretty sure.
Scare them away with success.
I think they've been waiting to see us.
They've probably seen me more than they see you.
They've definitely a lot of our audience has probably seen you because a lot of them have come in.
And if they haven't gotten scared.
And if you haven't come in, then that's something that you got to consider. Or at least get in touch, because a lot of our audience is also not here in Maine. We got a lot of people watching far away. So anyway, welcome back to season 3. This morning, we're going to be talking with Ralph a little bit about new leaders and how we're seeing a lot of, and not new as in, someone who just started leading after 30 years in the workforce, but more of young leaders who are entering the workforce, and kind of there's a little bit of multi-generational work that you guys are doing. We've talked a little bit about that before. And also just kind of how imposter syndrome seems to be kind of a predominant thing that's going on. I honestly think that it's been going on for a long time. We just have the psychological language and toolbox, and they're in the kind of zeitgeist right now that we're able to talk about it. Because I think imposter syndrome is something that we as a civilization,
species,
as a species, definitely struggle with. But I think it's really interesting how it's affecting young leaders right now. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. The latest information that we're receiving, and this is a fairly new audience, is people are really interested in us developing their young leaders. And first of all, I'm excited about it, just so you know, and it's fairly new. I think people are sitting back going, and it might have, maybe there's more of a reason than I would give credit for it. First of all, if you think about the baby boomers in general, many of us are aging out.
Yeah.
In other words, we're just aging out, and so everybody is looking at their senior managers and even their boards of directors, and they're going, oh my goodness, in 5 to 10 years, all of these people will be gone, whether they're off retired or they're gone, one or the other.
Yeah.
And so now it's dawning on people that we really need to start breeding the next evolution of good leaders. So a lot of people are opening their doors, and they're turning to folks like us who are got 30 years of experience at it. And we're creating a lot of programs that are really for people sometimes not even in leadership roles yet, but young, aspiring, being targeted by their employers for seeing potential.
Yeah.
I think it's a funny thing, because I think that's part of the imposter syndrome. They are a little scared because they're afraid to let somebody down.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it. They come in and they go, gee, I hope I'm worthy, kind of thing. I think we all know that they are, but I don't think they know that they are. And it's not something you can just simply tell them. You have to really put them through process where they gain confidence, right?
Yeah.
All of us learned in our lifetime that you just don't show up one day and become a blazing success. You usually have a success of some sort, which leads you to another success, which leads you to another success, and so on. And what happens at some point in time, we find ourselves feeling successful. Now, I read an article just recently from Harvard that talked about almost across the board for leadership from the top to the bottom. They did a survey. They found about 60% of leaders still to this day suffer from imposter syndrome. And that's fascinating.
It is really interesting. I know for me, in any of the work that I'm doing, whenever I have a boss or a supervisor and I'm submitting a piece of work, there's always the fear of or if that person then contacts you, it's like, oh no, I did something wrong, or something is unsatisfactory. And it's just 9.9 times out of 10, that is not anywhere close to the circumstance.
That's true. What's interesting is that there's this kind of, how do I get there until I've been there? Right? And so they look at people and they see them as accomplished. What they don't know, that many times what they're looking at is people who literally are suffering from the same things that they suffer from, only they just have more experiences and more
right
as a goal. It's really just a journey of things. There's one of the things that people say to me a lot is that I was considering Michael for this promotion, but he's not ready. And I always thought to myself, I'm not sure what it means to be ready or not ready. I don't know of anybody who's ever taken a promotion that was truly ready.
Yeah.
What you really see is their potential.
Yeah.
And that they will grow into their jobs. But almost nobody's ready for that kind of a change. You know, if you go from being a supervisor to a manager, or a manager to a director, or whatever kind of promotion that you're thinking about in leadership, you almost always have to rediscover yourself again at each point.
Yeah.
So being ready is different than seeing potential.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways that I see that too, because there's people who are really driven.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, this guy's going to just chew up whatever we put in front of him, you know, or a person, that would be a guy. But also the people who, like, a leader can look at someone and say, this person has all the right attributes, except the confidence, right? And so I think people will look at that confidence or lack of confidence and say, well, maybe they're just not ready. But more often than not, I think the case is you need to show that person that they're ready, or just drop them into it and give them the support that they need, so that, because you're right, no one's just, I can do that job. It's a role, it's a new role, and you have to find how that role fits and how you can operate it. But if you're not, if your leaders aren't giving you that push off the ledge, that, hey, fly, baby bird, you got to fly now. It's time to fly, right? And I think we also have this thing, at least in our culture in America, where we're so worried about failure. We're worried that if we don't succeed, that's it, we're gone, we're done. And I think a lot of the times leaders are a little bit more lenient than that. But even when, if that is such a strict environment, maybe finding an environment that's not as strict, because good leaders should recognize failure is not a rule. Oh, that person failed once, well, I'm not going to try out. That rarely happens.
I think it's an easy way that I always look at, particularly young people in an audience, and that is that there's one of two mindsets that's going on. You're either looking at your own history and going, well, gee, I got that college degree, and so therefore I'm worthy.
Right.
Or there's the other mindset that says, I'm really curious and I want to learn. One is a fixed mindset that's reliant on their own history or what their own accomplishments are. Yeah. The other is an open mindset or a learning mindset that says, I'm just curious, I want to learn, I'm courageous. Part of what being a young leader is courage. In other words, you're going to have to stretch every day.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of thing where you're going, I'm going to stretch once and then they'll know me. No, you're going to be forced into stretching to what you don't know routinely. That's scary for many people.
Yeah.
Now, many people will run away from that, which means that they will choose not to do it. And I think that that's driven by that kind of insecurity, that whole kind of imposter syndrome kind of thing. So if anybody's ever been into a conversation where they get into some conversation, and the person is just locked down on what they think and locked down. And if you haven't ever done this, then usually, if you're me, I just stop doing it.
Yeah.
Move on. And part of it is because I can't change somebody who's got a fixed mindset.
Right.
Now, if you have a conversation with somebody who's curious, get a little bit of an open mind about things, you can have conversations.
Yeah.
And you can really talk. Now, the point isn't to persuade them.
Right.
It's so the best young leaders that come in have this learning mindset. They sit down and they go, just please feed me, I'm hungry. And then the initiative later, because we give them plenty of work to do between sessions, the initiative to go do just a few of these things, they get those small successes. So if you combine an open mindset, a learning mindset with a little bit of initiative, you've got the stage set for early success.
Yeah.
And the ones that aren't perfectly successful, they're learning events. And so when we talk to leaders, young leaders early in the process, we talk about whether they're fixed or whether they're open. And just the conversation
opens.
It really does. They go, oh, I see. that this is a prerequisite. I'm not sure a lot of people think about it that way.
Yeah.
They go, you either are or you aren't. And I'm going, and now we have choices.
Yeah.
We can choose to be open-minded or we can choose to be closed-minded. And we live in a time, and just this is a sociological, look from the old guy. I think we live in a time where it's in vogue to have a fixed mindset. We do not want to budge off what we think is the moral high ground.
Yeah.
And many times what we're doing is we've closed our mind to other ideas.
Right.
And if you're going to be a leader and you're going to, for instance, a great example is if you only can work with one type of person, you're doomed.
Yeah.
Because your world is going to be filled with a myriad of different types of souls.
Yeah.
Mom and dad did their best to raise and sent off into the world, hoping that whoever led them would take as good a care of them as their parents did. And they're all very different. And you don't have to all meet every single one of them in their own world, but you certainly have to be open, and you have to bring them all forward together.
Yeah.
Hard work. And
Yeah.
I've told every leader I've ever worked with in my life that I don't know why people choose this craft. Because I've had days in my life when I sit back and go, I could have done a lot of things.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot easier than this. But people are always going to be complicated. They're always going to be a little difficult. And at some point in time, they want to be in the role of leader, not of learner.
Right. Yeah, no, I think just from my own, adolescent and particularly high school experience, there's a lot of, leadership in my high school talking about that. And to me, it always kind of was the realization of like, as long as you're open to always learning more, you might know a lot, but you're never going to know everything. And so if you're always open to learning more and at least consider the perspective that it's coming from, because that's everything. Sharing perspective of, I have not been in that seat before. That is a very interesting viewpoint. I didn't consider those things. Well, it doesn't hurt us at all. It actually helps us in building neurons and new ideas, and our brain functions better.
But it's also the quality that it takes is humility.
Yeah.
And the humility is one of those qualities that everybody wants to be around.
Mm-hmm.
See, as leaders, if you find that humility to constantly be curious, more about the things you don't know than the things you do, you're setting yourself up in a way that people want to be around you because you're showing courage and humility.
Yeah.
It's bigger than most people think. And one of the things, for instance, entrepreneurial life, you fail if you're not curious. In other words, think about you create something really good in your entrepreneurial life and you're going, there you go, 30 more years, I'll do that. And you find out how quickly change comes to get you.
Yep.
And you have to adapt, which means you constantly have to be curious. Have to be looking around corners, as Colin Powell would say.
Yep.
And those kind of things they don't come naturally to people because think about it, how we go through school, like you were talking about going through high school and stuff. Going through school, it's all about getting information and then being tested.
Yeah.
It's all fixed mindset.
Yeah.
It's not like what would be the answer if it was different. It's like answer the question based on the curriculum you were given, right? And so we do that for at least 12 years in most people's lives. And then we turn them loose into the world and we expect them to be creative.
And we wonder why they're such a close mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's, to me, in one of the secrets to young leaders, I think, is having them learn to learn. Just learning to learn and to walk in. And I think they come in sometimes with the classroom mindset that says, I'll get all the information.
Yeah.
And then when you give me the test at 3:30 today, I can
reproduce it. I'll regurgitate it.
Then they find out there's no test. And the real test happens when you take what you've learned and go execute.
Yep.
In your own way in the workplace.
Yeah. Well, in a nutshell, that's what's going on with young leadership right now, gang. Ralph, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Michael, as always, couldn't do it without you. Thank you.
So keep an eye out for more episodes here on Season 3 at the Priority Learning Culture Coaching Podcast. If you want to learn more information about priority learning, you can go to prioritylearningresearch.com, and we will see you next time, gang.
Ta-da.